Greetings, and welcome to the Modern Alchemist channel. I'm Aubrey Forrest, the Modern Alchemist, and this is Ask an Alchemist. Sam Daniel wrote to me and asks, "Can I ask you a question? Do you consciously create your own reality? As an alchemist, would you say that alchemy is turning metal into gold, or turning energy of thought into manifestation? Like learning the power of the mind, visions, bending things with your mind, or moving objects, astral travel, and understanding that we are spiritual beings, etc. Is that sort of what it is?" Well, folks, let's find out. This is Ask an Alchemist on the Modern Alchemist channel. Let's begin.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now. Let's begin now.
All right, Sam, this is a great question. I've actually answered this question in many different ways, and if you actually go through the videos, you'll find that I address this. The short version of your answer is yes. We all create our own reality. We are responsible for the things around us to a point. So, but does that mean that you can like forge your own reality and go, there is no Donald Trump? No, I'm afraid that probably won't happen. And the reason for this is simple. It's what one of the other YouTubers out there, her name is Teal Swan. A few years back she coined the phrase, or at least it was the first time I'd heard it. And she called it agreed upon tendencies. Agreed upon tendencies. This is the idea that because we are collective, because while we are both individual, we are both together, right? At the same point, it's this weird paradox that exists as a component of what we are as human beings, right? Carl Jung identified that our unconscious process is collective, so that we have a collective unconscious mind. And if you dip too deeply into that concept, that changes things profoundly as for us as human beings, because that means that there are certain things that we do because for whatever reason we've decided that that's the way the universe operates. And it's only until we decide that's not the case and we do so collectively that things change. And there's a wide variety of things that can support this idea. One of the more interesting phenomena that I've observed is the fact that when something is synthesized for the first time, it can often be very difficult. And then every time after that, it becomes increasingly easier. And often scientists wonder, well, what's going on here? Because they haven't changed the process specifically. And in fact, what is taking place seems to be an act of consciousness. Because the agreed upon tendency is now been determined that it's okay to synthesize this element or this mineral or this whatever, this plastic. And so now we can do it. And I believe that is a prevailing rule that exists. Now, is alchemy changing gold into lead into gold and things like that? It is, but it is not. And what I mean by that, there are already plenty of material alchemists out there. They've written to me, and a few of them had admonished me that I stop teaching altogether, because I'm not teaching what they do in their garage or their laboratory or wherever they happen to be practicing material alchemy. I'm not physically changing elements, because that's not my focus. Alchemy, in terms of my focus, is drawn from the Emerald Tablets. And so I'm utilizing 7 core principles that are descriptive of material operations in the universe. And the foremost among those is mentalism. And it's the great stumbling block to all alchemists, and I have a short video that describes mentalism because I was asked what that was some time ago. So, and what it is mentalism is that all of this is thought. Everything we do here is thought, it's thinking. The question often is, who's thinking? And when you consider your own conscious process and how limited it actually is, because here we have residence in our bodies, right? But the vast majority of functionality of this body is completely outside of our domain. We don't control our digestive process. We don't tell our body when to administer certain hormones through the endocrine system. We can't regulate our hypothalamus. None of that. It's all on automatic. And yet we call ourselves conscious and aware. And yet all of that can dramatically influence how we think and how we act and how we do. And of course, I don't need to prove this because you all are out there and all of you have had a bad day where no matter what it was that you tried to do to elevate your consciousness, it just wasn't going to happen because the environment or your body, which is your immediate environment, was slaving your consciousness to another process, perhaps involving the bathroom because you were very sick. And now your conscious process is completely undermined. And then, of course, then you have to ask yourself, to what degree do I experience free will when I am involuntarily purging every 5 minutes, right? So those are just some examples. And of course, you can go on and on. I mean, disease, death, any number of things we contend with as mortal beings, they all call into question whether or not we actually are engaging and doing or changing anything. And so that's why my approach also then is focus first inward before you worry about anything on the outside, because there's a reflexive property that takes place, so that as you rectify that within, that without manifests correspondingly. And as things are messed up inside here, you'll find that the stuff outside of you is also messed up. And so this is how you change your reality. But you got to focus in here. There's this great quote in Warriors of Virtue. I just love this quote. It's so awesome. And Komodo, he's got the old wise one. And he's pinned him down. He's beaten him.
I ask you one last time. I am in hell. It's my prison. How can I be free? The only hells in this world are in your heart, where all the battles must be fought.
Yeah, and so there are no hells in this world, but what we create. And that then brings us back to another concept, and it relates to our conscious process, which I'll be discussing in later episodes of Human Alchemy. But for the time being, recognize that all things are mental, which means that all things are flexible to the point that they're flexible. So as Morpheus says,
this is a sparring program, similar to the programmed reality of the Matrix.
It has the same basic rules like gravity. What you must learn is that these rules are no different than the rules of a computer system. Some of them can be bent, others can be broken. Understand?
Some rules can be broken and others bent. And you have to learn what that is all about, because that always then assumes that there's an overriding set of rules which then could also be bent or broken. And it's as flexible as thought, whatever that is, and whatever it is that we're experiencing. So yes, you can alter your reality, but the change begins inside. All right, I hope that answers your question. That's my approach. That's my approach as the modern alchemist, is to begin within and then watch it manifest without. And so that's that. All right, I'm Aubrey Forrest, the Modern Alchemist, and this has been another episode of Ask an Alchemist. I'll be talking to you soon.